Call to order. The meeting of the Historic Preservation Board, Denison, Texas, will come to order 12 noon, Tuesday, October 3rd, 2023. Present are board members Kurt Chakowski, Linda Anderson, Steve Riley, and Kirsten Solomon. We have a quorum. Public comments. Is there anyone here that wishes to speak? Still been I did not receive any cards. Oh, okay. Then we will move on to items for individual consideration. A, receive a report, hold a discussion, and take action on approving the minutes from the September 5th, 2023 meeting. Any discussion, changes?
I do have one, and it's a small one, and it's in that very long discussion about the historic markers for the city. But to be precise, on page 8, about 2/3 of the way down, it's actually 18 lines up, when I'm talking about the National Historic Register of the 1960s, we, Denison, actually submitted it in 1983. So even though a lot of the information and the photographs came from the 60s, it's really 1983, September of 83 to be specific.
Okay.
So that would be the only change, Christine, if you can find that. Page 8, 2/3 of the way down, about 18 lines up from the bottom.
Okay, so can we have a motion to approve the minutes?
Madam Chair, I move approval of the minutes with the revision that Mr. Kowski added.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Linda Anderson to approve, a second by Steve Riley. All in favor?
Aye.
None opposed? We'll move on to 3B, receive a report, hold a discussion, and take action on proposed storefront and windows and adding paint.
Okay, so at 501 West Main, that project has previously come before you, and a design was approved. And so, we noticed some differences, and so they've come back proposing that it is approved as installed. And we have the property owner here today to discuss with you. And I think he wants just a discussion on the appropriateness of paint and not. So I will let them.
If I could, just real quick before you go away, Donna, was a stop work order given, since it's not according to what was approved?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it was. And I did, we wanted them to be able to go on as much as they could without touching things that were inconsistent with what was approved. And so they did some brickwork on the back that was just repair and masonry work.
That we have. All right. This is the building as it was.
Could you state your name?
Oh, yes,
and address for the
ma'am.
record?
My name is Don Day, and I live at 110 East Louisiana Street, McKinney, Texas.
Thank you, sir.
This is the building at 501 as it existed in the not too recent past. As you can tell, it was painted white, the windows were white. At some point after that, would you bring up the next one? Thank you. At some point after that, someone sandblasted the building. Now, there is a slide of the side that shows the place. Okay, there you go. When they sandblasted the building, they takes out mortar between the joints. And after I bought the building and after I had the presentation all before, we realized that the wall on this side was bowing in the middle. There was about a 4-inch bow in that building. And I called the structural engineer, had him look at it. And his comment was that wall will eventually fall. It was structurally unsound. So in order to keep the building from falling, we put concrete pilasters on the inside and steel. And then we had to tie the old wall to the new structural element. And that's what you see, those steel plates that are on the side of the building. I had never intended to paint this building, but now that it has steel plates, and incidentally, y'all didn't approve those either, that came along after the fact, but it had to be done. It makes more sense to me now to paint this building because that's the only way I can hide those plates. Otherwise, those plates are going to be, they are visible as they are right now, forever. The windows that were in, when we took out the old windows, they were wooden windows, they were painted white, but they were falling apart. They were in very bad shape. We have replaced them. Your report says they're vinyl windows. They're not vinyl windows, they're aluminum windows with a coating on them. What I'm asking you to do is replace the white windows that were there with the new modern white windows and paint the building so I can hide the steel plates on the side of it. Now, would you pull up the last slide, please? Thank you. The color I'm proposing is the same colors we used on 34 Shop House, the red with the white trim, which would fit in with what's there. So I'm asking for your approval of what we've installed and allow us to paint it so we can hide those steel structural plates. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, if you could go back one. When I read the things that were done back in October of last year, you write how you were going to have to do this work already. So you knew this, that no change in the building materials, however, the east wall is structurally and falling must be reinforced. So that was there, but there was no intent at that time to paint. At that time. If you go to the next slide. Now the windows. The issue that I'm having today is the windows and the front entrance, the storefront, are not as the renderings that you displayed in your October of 22 submission. Can you tell me why they are?
When we went to, well, there were two reasons. When we went to buy the windows for this building, we were told the white aluminum windows are what they have in stock and what they could get us. If we wanted to wait for the bronze windows, it would take months. And I chose not to wait for the bronze windows, particularly since by then I was aware the windows in them were white, and the building had been white. It seemed to me replacing white windows with white windows seemed to be fitting and historic.
I'm sure this is not your first time before this board or doing any of the buildings that you have done here and have done a great job. But I know that you're aware of the current guidelines and the current ordinances. Is that correct?
Am I aware? Yes, I'm aware of the guidelines. I'm also aware that I'm investing several $1 million in this building, and if I keep having problems, I'm going to stop.
I understand that, sir. But when it talks about preserving position, number, and pattern of arrangement on the windows, retain the traditional ratio of window openings and solid walls, retain the size and proportion of the window openings, retain and repair the functional decorative feature of the early original windows, why is it then are you now electing not to do that, especially when it's different from what your renderings and what your front elevation depicted?
The front elevation was a mistake on both the architect's part and my part. I always thought the window was the door was in the center. I was not aware it was offset. The door originally was in the center. I always thought it would be in the center. I just missed that on the drawing that he had moved it over to one side.
You are aware that this board is here and it is considered and important for the historical district of downtown Denison to maintain the historic flavor, to include the windows and the offset. And in the storefront, that includes the kick plate or the bulkworks in the front with the door where it was. And so my question there is, in your job as the general manager or whatever, why are they not that same? Why are we not where we were, where we said that we were going to be? We are not in accordance with your plans, the way you submitted them.
I think this is the plan that he's inquiring about.
Both windows and storefront.
As I said, the storefront in the front, I never realized the architect had put the doors on the left-hand side. The doors were in the center before. I always assumed they would be in the center. So I missed it. I made a mistake.
Are you talking about this, this particular one? Is that the one that you showed him, Donna? So we're talking about the same thing?
not.
There's another
I showed
rendering
him-
of the front storefront too.
Which one? Okay, thank you.
This
That was the
one
windows
is
on the
the one
side.
she mentioned. So it looks like that is the opening,
Yeah.
that's now covered, it's not covered up, but it appeared that was going to be covered up. And then brought out to the front of the building.
Oh, you're talking about the recess.
Yeah, and the style, the bulkheads and the recess.
The glass all
So,
the way down, the glass all the way down to the
yeah,
street level.
so that's what they're looking at.
That's what they're looking at. All right. Well, obviously, that's not what we built.
And I'm sure if you would have had the elevations and the renderings as it is now, there would have been a very different discussion than it was back in October of last year, because this is not a historic representation of the time period from that building.
Will you bring the white one back up, please?
That's from the National Registry. That's the 83 picture.
That's the building history right there.
And I appreciate the windows going back in.
And I'm not seeing what I'm doing is different from what's there.
Well, I see the sashes on the front versus the solid one-pane window.
And also what's different with that one is you didn't bring that one before the board, you brought this one before the board that was approved. So that is different than this one.
All right.
What would be the procedure for him to change that, or, because the installation is done now,
Mhm.
and it's problematic. How can we undo
That was in, I'm sorry,
No, go ahead.
that was in fact, Mr. Day, the question I was going to ask. And that is, on the assumption that there is a middle ground on which you and we can agree, what would you suggest as a way to rectify the situation, to render it, if not the same, much more like the initial plans that were proposed and approved and not executed? You're well experienced in this business, so what would you say is a tenable solution?
I have built it the way I think is the best way to build it. I see that y'all disagree. Either approve it or don't approve it. That's your choice.
So if I understand you, you're saying this way or no way.
Not really, but I can tell you right now, if I change out the windows, that will delay this project for several months. I will shut it down, and I'll get back to it when I get back to it. To take out the storefront again will take several months. You're talking about costing thousands of dollars. At this point, it's not, to me, that building is about ready to fall down, or was about ready, and it's still not in very good shape. I'll let it sit like it is for the foreseeable future.
So if I might, I don't know if this is their wishes or not, but let's just take the storefront and save the window discussion for another minute. But, so is there any way to build like bulkheads in to look like this? And I don't know that there is worried about the center door or the offset door, but using the doors that you have, is there any way to build some sort of bulkhead look for those? And again, I don't know if that would satisfied.
Are you talking about the columns here?
No, I'm talking about these.
Oh, at the base there.
Yeah,
This is going to be a retail store. The more glass you have in front of a retail store, the more successful it is. We've provided glass. What you asked me to do is hide, cover up part of the glass. I can do that, yes. I do it. But I think it defeats the purpose of making a retail store.
well, the glass is hard to see through, so that's also going to not facilitate, easily, the sight for the vision of the merchandise inside.
Well, if you ask me if I can build a 18-inch bulkhead at the bottom, yes, that can be done.
That can be done without the glass being removed. You just go over the glass
Yeah.
and then, yeah.
To me, that would help with the looks, and it would be the most cost-effective without you having to tear everything out. Now, I'll leave the discussion to you, but the other question I was wanting to ask is the windows, and you said they're aluminum, and I apologize, I was under the impression they were vinyl, but are they like baked aluminum or?
They have the typical aluminum finish. I assume it's baked. I'm not sure how they call it anodized. I'm not sure what that means.
Okay, I was just going to compare what they actually are with what the consultant recommended.
Yeah.
Personally, don't have a problem with the windows and even being white, even though those weren't what we approved. But when you look at that block, the majority of the windows next to him and the building down are white on the upper. So taking that into consideration.
Well, they're probably fine when that building was white, but it got sandblasted, and now that affects the structure of the brick, and the brick integrity is compromised because it's porous, more porous now than ever before. So even if he paints it, he's going to have have to paint it to protect that brick. So I don't know that the window color to me is as critical as it was before.
Right.
And the style, because if I understand it, is it going to be a 1/1 or is it going to be a solid pane like you talk about Landon or a chop house like that?
Well, I think it was 6/1. I mean, I think it was like the grid in the
Okay.
original rendering.
But didn't they mention in there that that was different from? Okay.
Yeah, if you go to the other picture, that's not what is shown there. So now,
So the consultant said that 1/1 is recommended.
Okay.
but it's just not going to be a solid pane like chop house is.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
Correct me if I'm wrong, do they have to be functional when they're going to be a loft overhead?
The fire marshal requires you to have a functional window for a fire escape.
So if he adds the bulkhead, the way we discussed.
Okay, we're now down to paint then.
Yeah, let's check with staff, make sure that's what that we're all on the same track. I want to make sure that city staff is good with this.
So what's your question?
What I'm asking is if the bulkhead gets corrected the way we were talking about, is that going to make this be able to move along?
If you'll look at this
Rendering.
in your package, this is out of our design guidelines, and I mean, I liked what was proposed proposed in the first place. I thought that was a nice look, so I think the bulkheads, give it the most.
Being that we're meeting,
I can build this, what you showed right there. That's not hard.
being that we're meeting again in 2 weeks, would it be appropriate to table this until we see what the plans are for the bulkhead and the windows and the samples of the paint that's being proposed?
Are you interested in letting them paint the building?
I think he's gonna have to, from what I understand, redoing brick is that once it's been sandblasted, the integrity of it, it's more porous now than brick normally is, and it'll always soak up water. That's what I understand. If there's somebody with a better knowledge than me, I think it's gotta be sealed in some sort, whether it's paint or a sealer, but the brick has to be, if it's sandblasted, there's microscopic tears in it now, and it will always soak up water.
I don't necessarily have a problem with the painting, especially when the 1983 picture in the National Registry was obviously painted. But if you go to the front, just pass it, go back. I would also like to know what that is going to turn out to be and how you're going to deal. Is that going to stay blue or
Are you talking about where the blue and the yellow is? Mm-hmm. My thought would paint what is blue now, the white trim color. And then if you go to the 34 shop house, please, you can see the white trim with a black edge. I would replace the yellow with black and the blue with white.
I guess in my mind, I would like to table, I would like to see the renderings of what is going to be now of the bulkhead that's going to produce, the windows and the samples of the paint, you know, as in accordance with the certificate of appropriateness process, and just say, okay, it wasn't what we was approved. We'd like to see what you're going to do before we approve it again.
And if I would like to get approval, if possible, on the windows. If I get approval on that, I'd start on the inside. Those windows have to be trimmed on the inside as well as the outside. I don't mind taking time and getting a rendering of the building after it's painted with the white trim and the black trim, and no, I'm okay with that. But I would like to be able to get back to work on the inside of that building, and I can't do that without the windows approved.
Can you,
I would say, Christine, can we parse it that way? Table the bulkhead
we can
and
do
the
it.
paint.
And it's a multiple item, it's a multiple agenda item, so you can approve a portion of it and table a portion.
so
What do you need to look?
I have a question, Mr. Day. Looking at this picture, if you had constructed the front facade as approved, we're looking at 3 transom-style windows over it, because that would have come all the way to the, to the line, to the property line. And the way you've done it now, I don't see where there could be any of the transom windows put in overhead. I'm not sure if that's hollow behind that, behind where the blue is, if that's hollow, if I'm making myself clear. So there will be no transom windows according to your original plans in that blue area?
I would have to look and see what's there, to be honest with you. It's been a while since I've looked at it, but if you're going to make transom windows, I'm going to have to tear the whole storefront out and then start over.
Exactly, okay. I didn't know if there was a possibility of putting faux ones in. I mean, I've seen that done. Where
I
people
can
put
look
faux
at that. It's easy, especially at the base of those windows. If your guidelines show look like about an 18-inch high wood ornate thing, I can do that. That's easy. I can do the same at the top.
Okay. All right. Any other questions or concerns? Discussion?
Do you want to formulate a motion on the windows?
I'll let you do this one. I'll let you do this one. And before you do that, I would remind, because it was a part of the other one too, any signage for when you go retail and have the people come in there, the signage is still, will need to come back here too.
We haven't leased this space yet. I've always assumed once we lease it, whomever takes it, on that white, well, what's now a blue band right in front, there's a larger place for the sign to go, and I've always assumed they have to come back before that. I'm not, till we lease this space, I don't know what the signs would be.
Okay. I think I would do it in two parts. Approval for the windows is what I think I heard, and then table the decisions on the storefront and the paint.
Yeah,
And please make sure you reference the meeting or table it too.
2 weeks from the 3rd, so the 17th.
well, really, we're just gonna make a motion, I think, is to approve the windows as we discussed. And as they're shown here now.
As now outlined in today,
Yeah,
and then table until the 17th, the updated rendering of the storefront with the bulkhead and paint.
And materials.
yeah, till we can see a new rendering with appropriate colors.
Correct.
Okay. Anyway, I'll make a motion that we approve the windows as outlined today on the application, and then we table the rest of the items until the 17th, until we can see the new color palette and the renderings, how the building's going to ultimately appear.
So specifically, to make sure for Christine, table the approval of the painting and tabling of the storefront as rebuilt until the renderings are displayed in front of this board, and therefore tabled until the 17th of October.
Is that all clear as mud now? All right. All right. So our motion is today, we'll make a motion to approve the windows as discussed and outlined in today's meeting. All other items will be tabled until the 17th, specifically until we see the new rendering and the new color palette that includes paint and the bucket.
And if you could just say October 17th.
October 17th.
Do I have a second?
I second that.
Okay. So we have a motion by Steve Riley and a second by Kurt Chakowski. Do I need to say, repeat?
Call for a vote.
Yes, sir.
And just call for a vote, okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Opposed?
Now, may I ask a question so I understand where we are? The windows, the upper windows are approved, but the storefront, you want me to bring back a new rendering that shows the panels at the bottom. You want them at the top also.
Do we want them at the top?
For the transom, I think we're just talking about the bulkhead, right?
Just the bulkhead.
So, yeah, I think that's a different design
Yeah.
because it was going to, it was going to be set, or not going to be set back, and it was going to have an awning. So
Correct.
it might not be appropriate with the
Wouldn't look-
setback.
Wouldn't look right, because it's
Yeah.
like windows to nowhere.
So are we,
Okay.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I feel, excuse me, Mr. Day.
no, you go
No,
ahead.
please carry on, I'm sorry.
I'm just trying to understand what I'm supposed to do for the next meeting. You tabled the painting, and I have to bring back a rendering for that. So the windows and the painting, I know what we're doing. It's the storefront I'm still fuzzy about.
Just the bulkhead down below.
Just above head below.
Scratch the transoms.
I can handle that. Thank you.
This is kind of an example.
Yeah, yeah.
Something pretty close to what was originally proposed.
As close
I make it look just like that.
Okay. Specifically to 501, though. Specifically to 501, and not, that is just an example for the
Yes,
guidelines.
yes, I make it specific to 501.
fellow board members, Chair, I feel compelled, once again, to bemoan the fact that that work has proceeded unlike what was approved, and in part without permit. That has come before this board over and over. Each time it happens, I voice my displeasure. I try to keep my displeasure from being more vehement every time it happens. And Mr. Day, your work and your investment in this town are respected, as I have said to you before. However, as a subset of that, you are extremely aware with your experience in the necessity to follow those procedures and policies and permitting, particularly in an historic district where the standards have to be higher and maintained and enforced. This action is once again a fait accompli, but as I say, I feel compelled that it be known to all that I would wish, implore of everybody who's involved in this process, that we not see it happen again and again.
To reinforce that, what I was going to do later on, Grant, could you bring up the first 35 seconds of the mayor's video? This is the video that is on the Historic Preservation website. And after you show the video, I'm going to ask you to jump to the 3:40 mark.
I'm Janet Gott, and I have the honor of being the mayor of our community. What makes our community special and unique is our historic district.
If you continue, just another 13 seconds,
includes
to
our
talk
Main
about
Street.
a
Ownership
sacred
of
honor
a building
ceremony.
on Main Street
Jump to
carries with it a
340.
sacred
Talks about making
responsibility
changes.
to preserve and protect that building. And one of the things that we've done to make sure that that happens is we've created a historic preservation of how often does the commission meet? It meets every 2 weeks for your convenience.
We're gonna
With
jump
that
to 340.
historic designation.
You know, purchase downtown.
As we move through these exciting times in our community, we're asking you, take your responsibility very, very seriously. Know that when you have a plan, historic preservation must approve that plan, and you must stay with that plan unless you get approval for any changes that might be made during the process. And these buildings are old, and there may be changes that have to be made, but just know that that change must be approved.
Okay, thank you. That's just to underscore you. I just want to put it in minutes.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank
Day.
you, Mr. Day. Okay, now we'll move on to 3C. Receive a report and hold a discussion on the historic marker proposal.
Good, Grant, if you could go ahead and pull up. Thank you very much. We haven't really met due to the Sullenberger Parade and other travel of our folks. What I did want to show you is these are two markers that the one on the left is one from the Four Lines building down where the Pocket Park used to be. That is bigger than what we had envisioned. The one on the right is the plaque that's by the All Aboard statue. You can just see a little bit there on the left of the right picture with the woman and child running to the train. And that would probably be more of the same kind of size. Now, it's a little bit more expensive because it's got the 150 anniversary of sesquicentennial of Denison. But if I remember right, it's $550 for the larger one on the left, and it's $400 because of the engraving on the right, and that's kind of the things that we were talking about. The other thing that I would bring up, just as a input for when we come back with some kind of proposals, we left the last meeting talking about ways to mount them. There has been some feedback. it is not final yet, and I'm sure it could be changed, but there's one contingent of the city leadership that would like to have it on the wall and not on the pavement, and there's one that absolutely does not want it on the pavement, and then there's one that would rather have it a freestanding one, if you remember from the last time, the signs that are down there by the city police department. So we'll continue to work, we'll continue, grant our next plan, at least my next plan, is find a time when my colleague and I can go on down to Grapevine and find out exactly how they did there. The last thing I'd want to provide to you is I didn't know it, but in another hat where I'm in Main Street, Denison, there is a Vision 2020, which is the follow-on for, Vision Forward, which is a follow-on to Vision 2020. That in there are 6 goals. Goal number 6 has one of the things to put city historic markers. So we didn't know it, had no idea that we were actually comporting with one of the goals for Vision Forward for the city of Denison. So, good job.
Good job. Appreciate y'all's hard work on that.
There's still work to be
Dedication.
done, but we're committed to the concept, and we think that it can be realized.
So, more next time.
Well, next time. So we shall move on to 4 on our agenda, and that is public hearings. This is a public hearing. Is there anyone present who wishes to speak on this agenda item?
Sorry, Chair, we need to have the staff report first.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I've never done this before either, so.
I was just going 4 and 5. Okay, we'll go to 5 and then come back to 4.
Okay, they have asked to demolish the property at 619 West Chestnut. It is, as you can see, a home, and so that's the conditions of it. And the applicant is here to speak on it, but I guess we open the public hearing, Chris, before they speak. Yes.
Or there.
They have the right to speak on their agenda item if they'd like.
It's part of the public hearing, right?
It is part of the public hearing, so, I mean, you can open it now.
But if you have more updates, so.
Yeah, I didn't really have a lot of input other than it says in our guidelines that a plan for redevelopment is requested before any demo is granted, if in fact that demo is felt appropriate. The consultant said that they've seen much worse be salvaged, and so it's possible that a new owner might be interested in rehabbing that, restoring it, if the property owner is interested in selling it. So that was just a
Do you
comment.
know if the consultant had an engineer look at this?
Nobody has. I don't think the property owners have.
Okay, now you open up to public.
Okay. Is there anyone present who wishes to speak to this agenda item?
State your name and address, and then.
Robert Toll, 1129 Singletree, Denison, Texas. Manage Denison Glass here in town.
Speaking of the mic.
Oh,
Yeah.
maybe. Robert Toll, I guess you heard that. But we're interested in tearing down the house at 619 Chestnut. It's been on that lot for a while, and we were just going to tear it off because we keep paying tax on it. And I had a builder come out to see about fixing it up. I could use it for a rental unit. And he said it costs more to fix it up than it would just to tear it down and build a new structure there. So that's why we started the talks of tearing it down and then in the future building something else there.
So the new guidelines, but not the old guidelines, say this board requires the understanding of what you're going to do with the lot prior to approving a demo. Now, we can't do that since that's not our current ordinance, but it is your intent to rebuild there in the historic fashion?
It's
What are you gonna do with the lot after you tear this down?
build a rental property on it in the future, not right away, within the next 5-6 years.
Now, you heard the kind of discussion that is going on there. You know that that building is in a historic overlay district, which means there are additional rules that go with the type and style of building before you can even get a permit.
Right.
And you're aware of that.
I'm aware of that in the future. I'll have to build to look historic, look old. But right now, to that house right there, I don't think it, I know they brought back other houses around town. My builder that came in said, this house cost you a lot more than just building a new house. That'd be a lot nicer, energy efficient, everything else it needs to be. So that's when we talk about tearing it down. But if it can't be torn down because it's a historic house, then it will sit just like that.
And how long have you owned the property?
I've had the property 5 years, maybe 6.
Did you, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Was it purchased, bought in this condition?
Yes, I bought it in this condition.
Okay, has it been inhabited at all during those 5 years?
No,
Okay,
it looked just like this.
okay.
With historic structures, we sometimes see what is called demolition by neglect. I don't see that. This property has advanced to that stage. I would also contradict you in part, knowing that there are properties of historic merit that were in worse condition than this, that have been brought back to attractive habitability, historically appropriate. Given that, I'm not prepared to proceed with demolition until there's much more knowledge, one, about the viability of retaining the property, the cost of repairing it to bring it up to standards, and/or some kind of definitive notion of what might occur in its place other than a vacant lot. And I realize that's a heavy bit of homework, but I'm not I can't proceed with voting to demolish a structure of historic significance until I know those things.
I understand.
Yeah, the term the consultant uses, just because it's uninhabitable doesn't mean it's not unrestorable. And I know this is an extra burden owning homes and buildings in a historic overlay, that you have one more entity that is controlling your use of that land and that building. But I agree with my colleague here that while it is not in the ordinance, I'm not ready to vote for demolition until I know what's going to happen. And to be another vacant lot right next to the vacant lot that you have there already, right next to it.
Well, that lot has always been that way. It's a half lot.
Yep.
Nothing can be built there.
I know that, but now we have two.
Well, I was going to center it up in the future, but yeah. But right now, that house, for me to fix it up, would not bring in the rent worthwhile fixing it up. So technically, it'd be a losing option. It wouldn't be financially beneficial for me to fix that house up. It would just have to stay that way.
To the staff, I couldn't find it in the National Register, so it wasn't listed in 83, but is this a contributing building or a non-contributing building?
To my knowledge, it's not in the historic
Overlay.
district that says it's contributing or not. It's just in our historic overlay.
Okay.
What's the square footage on that house?
Huh?
What's the square footage on that house?
I think it's around 1,000, 700. It's small. It's 2-bedroom, 1 bath, weird design. The back end was on fire at one time. You could tell that they tried to fix it up. It's got 3 layers of roof on it. The whole thing's got to be, everything about it. Banks Construction, you've heard of them. That's who I talked to. So,
Did I hear you correctly just a moment ago that you said if you do not get approval to get it demolished, that you will not fix it? You will not make,
I don't have the fun. I wouldn't do the funds. I couldn't fix it up to rent it out. I'd be losing money in the long run. There's no way to fix that and make money on it. It's that far gone.
then what would your plan be?
Just leave it like it is for now.
Leave it like it is?
Sell it in the long future. Maybe in the future, it might, Denison, it might be worthwhile 10, 20 years from now. But right now, mathematically, it's not feasible to put that kind of money in that smaller rent place.
I would say 5 to 10 years from now. But would it be too much of a burden to ask you to come back, to table this for 2 weeks, and present a plan of what you intend to do with it?
Oh, to tear it down or to fix it up?
To replace it if you tear it down?
Oh, I'd have to get plans and everything. It would take longer than that. It would take up to the first. I'd have to talk to some builders, get some stuff together. We were just talking about tearing it down when I talked to a builder to come look about fixing it up, and he's like, it's not gonna happen, so.
If you could get us a cost estimate of what it would take to refurb that house so it's usable. So
Wait,
then we'll know.
About 150, because he said I could build one for cheaper. He said it'd be around 150 to refurb that one, about 150 to build a new one. That was a year or two ago. It's probably more than that now.
That's why we need some current.
I could get with my builder and talk to him and get numbers on what it's gonna be.
I certainly wouldn't want to interject into your business, and forgive me for doing so, but you said that you had, in fact, had the property assessed by a builder, and I only say parenthetically that, as I mentioned before, I've seen properties that were in worse condition than this rehabbed, and I'm sure you are aware that there are builders in this town who specialize in that work. And once again, not wanting to intercede on your business, perhaps you might shop their estimates about whether in fact, what it might cost, or whether in fact they might be interested in taking it upon themselves. But those entities exist in this town, and they are doing this sort of work. They also have bigger operations, which might be able to lower their overhead. Now, I do not know if that is contradictory.
My builder does the same thing all over town. I mean, Banks Construction does building more new houses around town than anybody else. So.
All new houses. I don't know if they've done too many historic houses.
He might not. I've looked at the one the neighbors that did next to ours and what the guys did to that. It's okay. I'm in construction too, so I understand quality of what needs to be rebuilt and what can be rented back out. I mean, they could probably piece it together, sheetrock over it, like the other neighbor houses around, blow insulation, put a roof and make it look halfway okay. We'd put all this money into something that's not going to have the long term.
Okay.
But I understand. I mean, if you don't want it tore down, and
If we
that's fine with
if
me.
we were to vote today, my vote would be against demolition.
Okay,
But you could sway me if I had more information about,
a new construction on it.
yes,
And/or the figures that would show us dramatically what in fact
The new place will look
restoration
like.
versus new construction would be. And I would like to see reconstruction that was of a quality that in the end, I would not be unhappy with the product. Even though we're not constrained by any kind of power, for this particular property, we still have the responsibility to maintain the integrity of this part of town.
I understand.
And as a property owner, that's in your best interest as well.
So
Right,
you
I understand.
To have historical type features.
Yes.
yes.
And remember too, if you were to refurb or rehab this house, you might not be constrained by the same floor plan with the appropriate permitting. And you might be able to increase your square footage where the rent then begins to make sense.
Add on to the side of it or something. Yeah.
If I may interject at this point, we're getting a little ahead of ourselves.
Yeah.
Correct.
This property is zoned commercial, so if it is demolished, we cannot rebuild residential.
Oh,
So, we need to
That's
look at
new.
that first, before even, so I would request that you all table or recommend that you table or deny at this point until we have further discussions with the applicant on what can actually go back there. We would not want to put him in that situation.
That was just about what I was gonna do. I didn't know about commercial, because I know several other residences in
I
there.
thought it was split.
But what I was going to say is, I think procedurally, we would deny the request right now, fully expecting that, wanting to work with you for the future on what it is that you'd want to do with that.
Right.
And the experts are right back there to help you to make sure that you don't waste time or money
Sure.
with what it's zoning. If it's zoned as commercial, that, that causes some other issues.
And my apologies, had I known that that was the zoning, I perhaps might not have been so vehement.
no, but I don't think it changes anything. I think you're exactly right on. Whether it is a residential renter or a commercial renter, it's still, we want to protect that.
I agree.
Yeah, so I,
It does change it, because if something is completely demolished, you cannot build back what was there. You have to
Yeah.
go for
What it's zoned
zoning
for.
is. So if
Exactly.
you rehab
we
it
might be
or
doing you a
remodel,
favor.
you can do
Yeah, could very well be.
So, yeah. just
Because there's
I
certain
can only
things that
rebuild.
you can do to rebuild versus build new by, you have to talk with them. I have heard stories about making sure you have one wall left or something like that, but they can give you the,
Okay. So I either can refurbish the house as it is or build commercial there, or,
That's correct. And let's get together with you.
Sure.
So that we can talk through it and see what your best options are, because there may be an opportunity to rezone based upon what's around it. So we just want to make sure that we give you the best guidance for what you're trying to do.
appreciate it.
so we're trying to work with you.
I understand.
Even though we're gonna deny, I
got
think,
you.
I
No
think.
problem. It's time to look at what's going on, yeah. I just thought I would just clear it off, but I realize it means a lot more to more people and to rezone it, what we have to do, so.
Yeah, especially if it's.
Just learning some information to go
Yeah,
forward with.
me too.
That's a very important piece of property that you own, so, you know.
I get a
exploring
call
your
every day
options
about,
are-
every day someone calls me about buying it, but I don't want to sell it right now, I want to do something with it. So. And I own the building behind it, Denison Glass building, so. Okay,
Thank you,
all right, thanks,
Public comment. Thank you, Mr. Toll.
thanks.
thank you.
Are there any other public comments? Okay. There being none, the public hearing is closed.
Madam Chairman, I would like to make a motion that we deny the approval to demolish. I think we do, don't we? Yeah. That we deny the demolition request at 619 West Chestnut.
Second,
Okay, I have a motion by Kurt Chakowski and a second by Linda Anderson. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Moving on to staff updates. Any more staff updates?
Don't have any visuals, but I approved a sign request for Premier Imaging, which is a sonogram type facility at 313 West Main. And for the Masonic Lodge, it's already installed, but they realized that they needed approval, so I approved that in office. I think there was one more, but I didn't have it in the presentation, and so I will. We don't have it in the presentation, do we? We're operating on a -1 staff member right now, so we're just trying to get through. So I will bring the visuals to you next time.
But you've approved them already. And that's in
Yes.
your purview, so.
Yes.
thank you.
I will want to compliment staff. I believe we are in the final throes of both the guidelines and the ordinance. So once it goes through the lawyers, then it'll be presented to council.
Yes, Chris, do you have an update?
We're hoping for it to be on the October 16th agenda.
So that will mean they're making their notes on it, and we will get it on the agenda, and then council. And I put that on an action item. I feel like they'll want the ability to ask questions.
I know you did a project update on council, typically.
Right.
Since it's been such a long time since the project update, I think it'd be good to.
Okay. So that's the plan if any of you want to be here when we do that.
Nothing else, I'll speak in favor of it. And lastly, when are we going to get our 5th person?
So have an application, and that also needs to go on the October 16th meeting. They had one last night, but I didn't have it in time to get it on that agenda, and so it will be on the next agenda. Okay. I know, just a placeholder.
All right, thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Well, do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Okay. This-
Second.
And second, so we have a motion by Linda Anderson to adjourn and a second by Kurt Chakowski. And this concludes the meeting at 12:56 p.m.